Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. Yes, this is the place where you can find the answers to your mental health, relationship, and family questions. I'm your host, Jim Hewitt. Glad you've tuned in today. I think you're going to find today's topic very interesting, so I hope you'll stay tuned because we'll be right back. All right. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Lifeline for Our Daily Living. So glad that you've joined me again today. Hey, I want to ask you a question. Does this look like you? Does this describe you? Well, how about this? Does this describe you? Well, how about this? Does this look like you? Does that give you any ideas to what we're going to be talking about today? Want to talk about stress. Man, it just seems to be at epidemic proportions, doesn't it? Somewhere along the line, we all get stressed out about whatever. We get stressed out about life. We get stressed out about decisions we need to make. We get stressed out about raising kids. We get stressed out about taking care of our parents. And, if your parents are elderly and they're having some chronic illnesses, we get stressed about finances. We get stressed about not having enough money. We get all of that stuff. Stress is just really a part of our life, isn't it? It really is. And some of us, if we're really honest, we'll admit, if to nobody else, we'll admit to ourselves that one of those three pictures that I just showed you looks like you, and maybe all three of them look like you. Well, we're going to talk today about stress. If you experience stress, this is the podcast for you. And maybe you want to share this with someone else. If you're watching this on Facebook, just press that share button and share it as many times as you want, because I think this topic is, I think, for everyone, not just a certain select few, but for everyone. Stress. We can look at stress in two ways. Number one, there's good stress. Okay, there's good stress, and that's the stress that when I'm driving in heavy traffic, and I'm really kind of aware of what's going on around about me. That's the good kind of stress, because it kind of gets everything going, gets all my senses going, and I'm really paying attention to stuff. I have to get up in front of a group of people, and I have to talk, or I have to give a presentation, or I'm going in for a job interview, or that's good kind of stress. Okay, everyone has it. There is no such thing as a stress-free existence. I'm sorry, it doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a stress-free life. If you figure out how that happens, let me know. Write me a note, send me an email, private message me something. Let me, share something in the comment section if you're watching this on Facebook. I would love to hear from you if you've got the secret to a stress-free life. Because really, to be honest, there's no such thing as a stress-free life. So when stress is working properly, when everything is working properly, it helps us. It helps us to be a little bit more vigilant about our surroundings. It helps us to be able to make decisions quicker and in a more healthy way. So I want to talk today about this whole idea of stress and what it's really about. Because beyond, when we get outside our comfort zone, that's where we start getting into trouble. Okay, we start getting into trouble when we're doing something that we're really not comfortable with, or it's really outside our comfort zone. So how do you respond? How do I respond to stress overload? Well, there's basically two reflexive kind of responses that we have. One is mobilization, and the other is immobilization. Now, kind of like what I was stating before, stress that is, it's the good kind of stress. That's where we mobilize what's commonly referred to as a fight or flight mechanism. So if I'm if I'm going down the interstate and there's several different cars, and I've got one in front of me, one beside me, one back of me, and there's a tractor trailer, right? Okay, my stress is gonna kick in, which is that fight or flight mode. If I feel like my body, my being, or someone that I love is in danger, that's where that flight or fight kicks in, okay? So there's mobilization, where everything in our central nervous system gets ready to either get the heck out of Dodge or stand and fight and confront whatever's coming at us. The other part of that, so there's mobilization. The other part is immobilization. That's where we just kind of freeze. Our body doesn't respond to the mobilization, fight or flight. We just freeze. So there's fight, flight, and freeze. Fight, flight, and freeze. And we're going to do one of those three things. So when we become immobilized, what happens is we just freeze. We may find ourselves really kind of traumatized by some of the things that are going on around us. If you see an accident, or you witness some kind of verbal abuse or physical abuse of some kind, we just kind of freeze. We become immobilized, and so we also might find ourselves then, as a result of that, excuse me, we find ourselves immobilized because the fight or flight mechanism doesn't really take over. So we just find ourselves frozen. We can't speak. We can't talk. We can't act in any way at all. And so so immobilization and then mobilization. So fight, flight, or freeze. That we're going to have one of those three responses. Now, what is the effects of this chronic stress? And what I'm talking about now is chronic stress. Okay, what is the effect of stress overload? Well, let's say that you're stressed over some kind of a traffic jam, or you're behind in getting your kids to school, you're running late, all those kind of things, and so those things start to mount up over time. Your body can react as if you're facing a life or death kind of situation. I've got to get this done. We're coming up on tax season. Oh my gosh, I got to get this done. And so we chronically worry over those kind of things. And so when we repeatedly experience this fight or flight stress response to our daily life, it takes a horrendous toll on our bodies. Our arteries become constricted. We experience headaches. We experience gastrointestinal problems, all kinds of physical symptoms as a result of that. And all of that is due to stress overload. We don't want to get to that point. We don't want to get to the point where stress is just overloading us. Well, how do I know? How do I know? What are some things that I can look for so that I don't get overloaded, or that I'm close to being in stress overload? Well, there's some things that goes on with our thinking process. We often, when we're stressed, we often reflect poor judgment. We become anxious. Our thoughts begin to race. We have trouble sleeping because we feel like we can't turn our mind off. We're constantly stewing about stuff. We're worrying. We're fretting about things. And then we're just constantly worrying. Someone once said, and I like this analogy, someone once said that worry is like rocking in a rocking chair. You expend a lot of energy, but you don't get anywhere. That's what goes on up here in our brain. That we see only the negative things. We think only negative. We do what we're engaged in, what I call catastrophizing. That everything is catastrophic. I mean, the world's going to come to an end. today or tomorrow. The worst possible thing that could happen is going to happen to me. Those are the things that we start thinking about, and that starts raising our blood pressure. Did you know that worry raises your blood pressure? Did you know that? It really does. It raises your blood pressure because, see, everything that happens to us physiologically goes on up here. It starts up here. And so when we worry and we fret about things, we see only the negative stuff. We have poor judgment. We really have an inability to concentrate. Have you found that when you're under stress, you have difficulty just staying focused, maybe even when you're at work, because things are going on outside of work, or maybe things that are reflective in work as a part of your work, as a part of your job. You just have difficulty staying focused and being able to focus and concentrate on one particular thing or another. So that's the thought process, but there's also emotional symptoms that have to do with stress as well. Moody, we become more moody. Crabby, cranky, we become more irritable. We become more agitated. We just feel overwhelmed. Many times when someone calls my office for a first-time appointment, I will ask, can you tell me a little bit about what's going on? And often they will say to me, I just feel like I'm overwhelmed. There's so many things that are happening in my life, so many things that are stressing me out. I just feel completely overwhelmed. Now, this may not be so obvious, but there's a sense of loneliness as well. That I'm alone in all of this. Nobody can help me. Nobody will understand, and so I feel alone. So that's the thought process, some emotional symptoms. What about some physical symptoms? I kind of named some of them earlier. Headaches. We have constipation, diarrhea, chest pains, rapid heartbeat, because see, our anxiety is going up, and remember, this controls everything. So if I'm thinking and worrying and stewing about stuff, my blood pressure is going to go up. My arteries become more constricted, and so the blood flow, that's what causes the headaches. Frequent colds, our immune system gets depleted. All of this because of stress. We tend to eat less or eat more. We sleep more than we should, or we sleep less than we should. We begin to isolate ourselves. Do you get the idea here? I mean, stress affects just about every aspect of our lives. When we are in overload mode, when we just feel like we can't take it anymore. One more thing happens and I'm going over the edge. You know what I'm saying? We just feel so totally overwhelmed. Well, what causes stress overload? Well, one of the things is major life changes. Now, this can be either a good life change or a bad life change. A good life change would be I got a promotion, but that also means more responsibilities. On the bad side, it could be the death of a loved one, losing a job, those kinds of things. Problems at work, problems at school. I have many students who come in, high school and college students who come in, and they're all stressed out because of their grades and the expectations of making A's and everything, and they're not making A's and everything, and so they get on stress overload. How about this one? How about being too busy? Being too busy. Wow, that's a big one. I mean, if we could just slow down for a little bit, if we could just take a minute, if we could just kind of trim some things off that really, because see, if you're too busy to enjoy life, then you're too busy. And I get that, particularly if you have kids still at home, I get all of their activities that they're doing, all the things that they do. I get that. But listen, if you're too busy to enjoy life, then you are simply way too busy. How about raising kids? If your children are still at home, how about raising them? You have a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, and an 8-year-old, or you have an adolescent at home. That's stress right there. Trying to keep up with all that they're going on, and sibling rivalry and arguments that are happening. All of that stuff just raises that stress level, doesn't it? How about internal kind of things? So those are external. What about some internal kinds of causes to stress overload? How about chronic worry? Worry, and see, I worry if I don't have anything to worry about, because then I need something to worry about so that I have something to worry about, but I don't want to worry because I worry because I'm not worrying. See how that happens? Okay, so chronic worry. How about pessimism? Is your glass half empty or half full? Are you just, and I know I know that winter has been hanging on and hanging on and hanging on. It doesn't seem like, we're all stressed out because winter just keeps hanging on. And we're all wanting spring to happen so fast. And then guess what? We'll complain when the weather gets hot. Oh my gosh, I wish for cooler weather. I wish it would cool down a little bit. We're just kind of fickle people, aren't we? We really are. How about negative self-talk? And what I mean by that is, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I'm ignorant, I'll never make that grade, I'll never get that promotion, I'll never get that job, never. How about an all or nothing attitude? Wow, it's what I call black-white thinking. It's either this way or this way. There is no in between. If I don't get that job, my life will fall apart. If I don't get that promotion, my life will fall apart. If I don't get that date, if I don't get that spouse, my life is just completely over. Wow. Well, now let's think for a minute. What in the world determines our ability to manage all this stress? What is it? What is it about some people that they can handle stress just fine, and others they just implode because of the stress? What happens? Well, one person over the other has the ability to just handle things in a better way. They have better quality relationships and a support network. This is proven over and over and over and over again that the quality of our relationships, both inside and outside the family, and that support network that surrounds us, those friends, maybe it's people at church, maybe it's your pastor, maybe it's a best friend. That support network helps us to better manage stress. That way we don't feel like we're out there on our own. Also, I think what goes into this is early life experiences. I think, this is just me, I think we do our children a great disservice. Listen to me close now. I think we do our children a great disservice by not allowing them to experience failure. Whether that's failure on a sports team, or whether that's failure in school, whether failure in making good decisions, good choices. We need to allow them early in their life experiences to fail so that they learn from that. If we're all the time as parents, if we all the time are rescuing them and going in kind of like what's described as a helicopter parent, and we're going in and we're swooping in to rescue them, and nobody's ever a loser, then as they get to be adults, then what happens is they are less likely to be able to handle stress in an appropriate way. How about your general lifestyle? Some people, what I refer to as lead lives of quiet desperation. They lead lives of quiet desperation. What is your lifestyle like? What are your just habits of taking care of yourself? Do you get enough sleep? Do you get enough rest? Do you get enough recreation? We all need downtime. If you're working 6 or 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and even when you take vacation, it's, well, we really can't, now we've invented this thing called staycation. I'm not really sure if that's all that healthy. I guess it's better than nothing, right? So we're working all the time, and we got bills all the time, we got family issues all the time. When you take into consideration all of those things, that's what determines our ability to handle stress. In particular, I want to go back for just a second and talk about, again, the early life experiences. That is so key. If you are watching or listening to me and you are the parents of children, this is gonna sound very counterintuitive for me to say this, but you need to allow your children to experience failure so that they can learn from that, so that they're able to handle that. You need to allow them to experience a certain amount of stress and work through that. There's nothing wrong with that. You're there as a parent to help guide them. Of course, you don't just kind of leave them out there on their own, but you need to allow them in their early life experiences to navigate those waters. That way, when they get up to be an adult, then they're able to handle stress a whole lot better. Now, let me just give you some ideas here about how to deal with stress and its symptoms. I've kind of talked about this one before, but I want to mention it here again, and that is build good, solid, healthy relationships. Notice I say healthy relationships. Unhealthy relationships can be just as stressful as anything else. So you want to be able to build healthy relationships. You also want to be able to manage your emotions. Some people will say to me, well, I can't help feeling the way I feel. Yes, you can. You can control that. If you allow your feelings to dictate your actions, you're in for trouble, okay? So you need to think through things, manage your emotions. If things look bad today, wait till tomorrow and wait till the next day, and things will look a little bit better. And that goes back to what I said earlier about getting good quality sleep. So you can also set aside time for relaxation. Here we are. We're in the spring now, early spring, and people start talking about vacations. I know my wife and I, we've already started talking about vacation time and where are we going to go and what are we going to do. I can't wait to hop on that motorcycle and go. I'm just chomping at the bits. So take time to relax. You know what? If your house, listen to me now. If your house is a little messy, okay. I don't want you to let it get to be a wreck, okay? But look, it's best that you take at least a day, if nothing else. Take a day and just have some downtime. Do something relaxing. Do something fun. Do something enjoyable. The weather's going to get nicer here. The days are getting longer. The days are going, the evenings are going to start getting warmer. The days are going to be more filled with sunshine. Get out and enjoy it. Go to the park, take a walk, take a bicycle ride. Get out and enjoy the wonderful spring that's really here upon us. So those are some of the things that you can do in dealing with the symptoms of stress. Now, the biggest step here is taking the first step. The biggest step in dealing with stress, chronic stress, is taking that first step. Dealing with and overcoming stress begins with our thought process. It's no accident that the Bible says in Proverbs 23:7, as a man thinks, so is he. Thoughts precede behavior. So our stress, our worry, all of that begins up here. Excessive worry is a big contributor to stress. Let me ask you, what are you worried about today? What's worrying you? What's fretting you today? Is it your kids? Is it your spouse? Is it your finances? Is it your job? What is it that's stressing you? Well, listen to what Peter said. Peter said, cast all your anxiety, your worry, your stress on him because he cares for you. Now, that word cast is kind of like, for those of you who fish, who like to fish, that's the idea of casting your line out there. Cast it away from you. Cast all your care upon him because he cares for you. Listen, if you're experiencing stress to the point that it's affecting the quality of your life, then I want you to seek some help. Don't try to do this on your own. If you have a best friend, go talk to them about it. If it's regarding your work and you feel comfortable in doing so, talk to your supervisor. If it's something life-related, make an appointment and see a therapist. But above all, don't let it continue to fester, because it will continue to get worse and worse and worse, and then you'll have to start on medication, and then you'll have to no, it starts here. Okay, what's stressing you out today? I want to help you. I want to help you decrease that stress. It's not going to completely go away, right? But I want to help you decrease that stress so that you can have a less stressful life. Well, I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of Lifeline for Daily Living. If you would like to contact me, there's 3 ways you can do that. Number 1 is by the phone. My number is 573-732-4575. Again, that's 573-732-4575. Or you can email me. My email address is lifelineonline@hotmail.com. Again, lifelineonline@hotmail.com. A third way is, if you're watching this or listening to this over Facebook, you can private message me. I would be more than happy to set up an appointment or just continue a dialogue with you about stress. I want to help you to live a less stress-filled life. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you right here next time on Lifeline for Daily Living.